September 12th, 2022, regular Wasilla City Council meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, council, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business to attend to during the meeting, please move for a recess. If you are participating telephonically, please mute your phone unless speaking. Also, when speaking, please state your name for those streaming the meeting. As a reminder to all attendees, the meeting is being streamed live. The camera is located directly in the back of the council chambers above the clock. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Velock.
Here.
Councilmember Rubeo.
Here.
We do have a quorum, Madam Mayor. All council members are participating in council chambers.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Nikki, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item of business is approval of the agenda. Council, before we begin, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rubeo regarding AM number 22-34, contract amendment to Big Dipper Construction in the amount of $73,489 for repair and paving of the intersection at Spruce Avenue and Lucille Street, museum parking lot and adjoining alley, and beneath the overpass at Seward Meridian Parkway.
Thank you, Mayor. While I do not have a conflict of interest to declare, I do want to make the public aware of my relationship with Big Dipper Construction. The company is owned by my father. He is not a member of my household and has no financial interest in his company. I have no financial interest in his company.
Thank you. Are there changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move item 8.2.2 and item 8.2.6 to new business. That would be introduction of ordinance serial number 2228 and action memorandum 2234.
34.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there objection? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as amended. We are now at special orders of the day. There's one proclamation that I will read. City of Wasilla Proclamation recognizing September as Recovery Month. Whereas National Recovery Month focuses on raising awareness and understanding of mental and substance use disorders and celebrate the people who recover. And whereas preventing and overcoming mental and substance use disorders is essential to achieve healthy lifestyles, both physically and emotionally. And whereas we must encourage relatives and friends of people with mental and substance use disorders to implement preventive measures, recognizing the signs of a problem, and guide those in need to appropriate treatment and recovery support services. And whereas Recovery Month spreads the message that behavioral health is essential to health and one's overall wellness, and that prevention works, treatment is effective, and people recover. And whereas the impact of mental and substance use disorders is apparent in our local community, and individuals in communities throughout our state have achieved and sustained long-term recovery through behavioral health treatment programs, and whereas through Recovery Month, people become more aware and able to recognize the signs of mental and substance use disorders, which can lead more people into needed treatment. Now therefore I, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor of the City of Wasilla, hereby proclaim and recognize September 2022 as Recovery Month in Wasilla and call upon our community to observe this month with compelling programs and events that support this year's observance, dated this 12th day of September 2022. Michael, would you please come to the front? I am honored to present you with the proclamation in recognition of all that you do and continue to do for those that are in treatment or seeking treatment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle.
Oh, sure. Just in time to get in the photo.
That's right.
Hi, Michael. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
And Michelle, thank you for everything that you do at MyHouse.
You're very
We
welcome.
are glad to partner with you and help in any way that we can.
Thank you for the proclamation. It matters.
I wanted to thank the mayor for attending this past summer. We had a community cafe, and the mayor was our keynote speaker, and we really appreciated her being there and supporting the community cafe. There'll be 8 more community cafes across Alaska this year, and the focus was on polysubstance use and misuse and addiction. And then that input will be rolled into the state opioid steering committee's action plan. So we want to again thank you, Mayor, for coming and attending, and we really appreciate all your support with MyHouse, the Matsu Opioid Task Force. One last quick thing, we're going to have our first monthly meeting October 4th from 4 to 6 o'clock, and we'll be at the Matsu Health Foundation conference room. You're all invited, specifically invited the lieutenant to join, and we believe the solution has 3 parts: law enforcement, detox and treatment, and prevention. And so we are very, moving upstream, wanting to launch a complementary youth prevention and drug education task force also. So we're moving upstream, so thank you. And thank you all for all your support. And Michelle Overstreet.
Mrs. Ledford, I got 2 dead children within the last year, 1 3 weeks ago. I know damn well both of them are murdered. I'd like to make this real short and sweet with you. I'm Bruce Hess.
Bruce,
Yeah, I've known you a long time.
Yes, yeah,
It
Bruce.
shouldn't take a minute to explain this.
There are procedures, I believe, there's a,
I've got police officers right here right now that really
Come
are
chat with me
acting very
outside. We can
unruly.
talk about it out here.
No, I'm gonna talk about it on camera
Bruce.
in front of the city council member.
There's a process you have to follow. Come talk
All
to me
right,
outside. And
can I make this real short and sweet?
Bruce,
The
you have
police
to
department
sign,
will not
Bruce,
even admit the fact that they're missing.
Bruce, you have to sign up on the sheet in the back, and then when it comes time, then you'll have 3 minutes to say what you want to do.
Yes, ma'am.
If you'll do that for me,
It
please.
sure beats going to war with your police department. I'm tired of this shit.
Sit
I've
down.
had enough of it. And I'm not putting up with it anymore.
Sit
Okay.
down and we'll call you when it's your turn.
You haven't talked to us.
No, I'm not talking to you. Okay. What's you talking? I explained that before you murdered my second daughter.
We are now at commission and agency reports. Deputy Administrator Nygaard will give a report on the Landscape Standards Review Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. The Landscape Committee continues to meet the second Monday of the month. In fact, they're upstairs right now if you want to partake in landscaping conversations. Some of the items that they've been discussing is bond requirements, some of the difficulties in purchasing plants in Alaska, especially the larger sizes since greenhouse have to hold them. They're also looking at revegetation of unlawfully cleared areas. So these are just a few items that they continue to look back at code and figure out how they can make it more accommodating to our residents.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I make a comment? I'm looking at the minutes of the Landscape Review Committee, and as is standard, it says go into the committee of the whole to discuss whatever. In the future, since it is a committee, if there could be just some bullet points of what topics were discussed during committee of the whole, as opposed to just saying going into committee of the whole, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, to the city administrator, is there a procedure we can inform the public if they want to make comments to the committee other than showing up?
This time, I do not know of one. They have to actually come to the meeting.
Through the chair to the council, I believe she is advertising them and you have availability to participate via Teams. I don't think Zoom, but in her notice, I did see a Teams link.
Okay,
So, and Councilmember Brown, I can follow up with you tomorrow on that directly.
thank you.
Okay, we are now at public participation. There are no public hearings scheduled, so we'll move to persons to be heard. As a reminder, persons to be heard is a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Eileen, you're up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. I don't usually like to read, but because this has a lot of information, I want to make sure I get it right. Right now, the most important thing that we're dealing with for seniors 55 and older, the 2022 Senior Survey is part of an effort to gather information about senior needs as the Alaska Commission on Aging with the State Plan Advisory Council develops the new state plan for senior services, which will cover fiscal years 2024 through 2027. So there's a survey available on the State of Alaska website through the Alaska Aging Council, and it takes about 10-15 minutes to do the survey. I did it. It's very easy. It's very important that seniors 55 and older complete the survey because that will determine the support for an array of senior services, including home-delivered meals, congregate meals, transportation, family caregiver respite, in-home supports, elder safety, and any additional services that seniors might need. And this is important for seniors in the Mat-Su area because we are considered metro, even though we're rural. So to put this survey together, it will help to get the funding that's needed for seniors in the valley. I know I'm not real clear on this myself, but that's why I was reading it, so that there's an understanding that there's a need to do the survey. The other thing that we're in need of at WASI is we're in need of board members. If you or anyone you know of would be interested in being a board member for Wasilla area seniors, we'd like to hear from them, and they can contact Marlene and get an informational packet and find out what that involves. That's pretty much it for me for this evening, so thank you.
Thank you.
And always thanks for your support.
Okay, Mary Robinson. Please state your first and last name, and you're limited to 3 minutes.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Ledford, council members. My name is Mary Kay Robinson, also known as Randy Robinson, city resident, and full disclosure, also a on-call, part-time, temporary city employee at the library. Tonight I'm talking about the Friends of the Wasilla Library. We just completed our 3-day book sale, and we sell used books for $5 a bag. And going into this afternoon, we are already at $2,000. So that's an awful lot of bags of used books. So that all is turned back to the library for them to use as they see fit for training, things that they might need for the library to add to the collection. Tonight is also the first night of the book club for the new year. And Heather Lundy, who was nominated or is the Alaska State Writer Laureate for 2021 through 23, is appearing via Zoom at the library for the book club. So that's quite a coup to have Heather Lundy appear even by Zoom. And we also implemented the story walk. Thank you, Mayor Ledford, Councilmember Graham, and I apologize, I was working the book sale, so I'm not sure if anybody else was able to attend. But it was a great day. The rain broke for a few minutes, and all the families there really seemed to enjoy the story walk, which I can explain to you at another time what that is. So we're very excited that we're moving forward with the Friends of the Wasilla Library. As a city resident, I'm also here to speak in support of Ordinance Serial Number 22-28. No, you haven't gotten rid of me. Here I am again. And I'm very, very happy to see that you're moving forward on this, that the community grant program, I'm very excited. I'm an optimist by nature, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it keeps moving forward. Thank you for all your work, for the committee that's worked on it. Thank you for the city council for considering it. And so please, I recommend that you move forward, that you introduce ordinance serial number 22-28, and particularly as it is in support of vulnerable population, which in this particular case, I believe includes the Wasilla Senior Center, WASI, and also MyHouse. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Danielle Pond.
Hello. I'm Danielle Pond. I am the Wasilla Area Senior Center's new outreach service manager, and I'm actually basically here to introduce myself as a new resource to seniors in the Mat-Su area regarding services needed, not knowing enough information for services that we can provide for them, or just giving them correct information to get them the resources that they do need. So I am very excited to be a resource in the Mat-Su area. So thank you.
Thank you. Hector Bonifaz, is that it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Hector Bonifaz. I am the president, Homeowners Association president for downtown condominiums here in Nelson Avenue. First of all, I want to thank you for putting the stop signs on Nelson Avenue and Weber. It's working. Now we have another problem. I sent you a video. I don't know if you got the opportunity to watch it. There is a trail that some four-wheelers are using right in front of our parking spots, and unfortunately, some people using that trail are spinning their wheels and pushing all the rocks and gravel into the road. That is right in front of our parking spots. I sent an email to Parks and Public Works, and they took action. We do appreciate that 2 days later, but there is a problem in there, is that the trail is different level than the road. So even though the four-wheelers stop to look for traffic, they have to accelerate to go into the road. So that creates a little bit of spinning and continue the rocks going into the road. We would like to, if possible, block that trail. I did my homework before coming here, and I look at the satellites historical images, and that trail started in 2010. Then it was blocked in 2011 because you got cleared the land for the water station, and then it come back in 2012. We would like, if possible, make changes on that, and if possible, let me rephrase. If you guys can block that from four-wheelers, because that's right in front of our parking spot. That's all I needed to say to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to the council at this time? Marlene.
Just want to reintroduce myself. My name is Marlene Mansell, and I recently became the CEO of WASI. Excited to be able to continue to help seniors in a different role. And I would like to extend an invitation to all of you to stop in and have lunch with us. Thank you, Stu, for joining us the other day, and Mayor, thank you for coming. But our door is always open. I really would like you to come in and see what we do and all the projects that we have coming up. So thank you. That's all.
Is there anyone else? Michelle?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you. I'm Michelle Overstreet, the CEO of MyHouse, and I just wanted to say thank you for the grant program that you put in place. It looks good. I would echo what Randy said, and also welcome to the new Senior Center Executive Director. That's exciting, so thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Hearing none. We are now at the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read title of the items for approval under the consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have the regular meeting minutes, August 22nd, 2022. Under our consent agenda, we have one ordinance, recommended public hearing date of September 26, 2022. That's ordinance serial number 2227, amending the fiscal year 2023 budget by appropriating $8,500 from the general fund balance and transferring the funds in the amount of $8,500 to the CIP fund for the MATCOM generator replacement project. The council will take up ordinance serial number 2228 under new business. Action memorandums for approval under our consent agenda this evening. First is AM number 2229, contract award to NC Machinery in the amount of $169,467 for the purchase of a 2023 Caterpillar 906M compact wheel loader. Second, AM number 2230, contract award to Zamboni Company USA in the amount of $175,000 for the purchase of a Zamboni ice resurfacer. AM number 2231, contract amendment to CRW Engineering Group in an amount not to exceed $196,895 for construction administration services for the Richmond Hills Booster Station project. AM number 2232, contract award to Alaska Rotec Corporation in the amount of $46,300 for the purchase of sewer effluent pumps. AM number 2233, contract award to McKinley Research Group in the amount of $98,375 to develop a comprehensive economic development strategy for the city of Wasilla. Lastly, AM number 2235, contract amendment to HDL Engineering Consultants in the amount of $90,000 for the airport master plan design services. Those are our items for approval under the consent agenda.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Is there a second?
I second that.
It's been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Velock to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. We have no unfinished business this evening, so we'll move directly to new business. Madam Clerk.
Sure. First new business item is ordinance serial number 2228, adopting the non-reoccurring 2022 community grant program to support nonprofit organizations serving the needs of the Wasilla community and authorizing disbursement of up to $400,000 of city funds through that program. And this is recommended for introduction, public hearing date of September 26, 2022.
Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move we look at serial number 2228, recommended for public hearing on September 26th.
Councilman Brown, second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Brown to introduce AM 2258. Is there
28.
28? I'm sorry, 22-28. Can't read my own writing.
Public hearing on September 26th.
Public hearing on September 26th. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The reason I asked to move this out of the consent agenda is I just don't see what I'm looking for in this here. Number one, it doesn't talk about a source of funds and it doesn't fund the program. So I'm assuming that would be number one, we would decide that we can do this, and then we would have to fund it at a future meeting. That's kind of what it sounds like. It doesn't, it's not really very specific. It kind of says, authorizing disbursement of up to $400,000 of city funds, but it doesn't say where they're coming from, and it doesn't, the way it's written, I don't think we're authorizing anything. I mean, we're authorizing looking at spending up to $400,000. We're not actually authorizing the disbursement of funds. I think we need to be a little bit more clear on that. The second item I have, which I would like to see addressed when we talk about this in 2 weeks, is the staff summary talks about organizations with 501c3 tax exempt status being the only ones eligible for this fund, for disbursement of these funds. There are several dozen 501c organizations listed by the IRS, which would make them tax exempt. They don't necessarily need to be C3 to be tax exempt through the IRS. And several organizations which serve the community, serve the broader community, do have that 501c status, but some are C6, some are C12. I don't think limiting this to 501c3s actually represents the community. It represents a very small portion of the community. And since we're talking about serving the fundamental needs of Wasilla's most vulnerable populations, I think limiting it to C3s it would be interesting to know what that philosophy behind that is, and I look forward to hearing about that in 2 weeks. And also, when we talk about users in the summary statement here, it says, specifically, it talks about serving the fundamental needs of Wasilla's most vulnerable populations, specifically senior citizens, youth, and those experiencing economic hardship. It sounds to me like we're trying to limit the use of the funds to those, even though it doesn't say that. It certainly sounds that way. And I don't think that's necessarily what we want to do. We had talked earlier this year, and we actually approved funds during the budget process for resurfacing the tennis courts at Idetta Park, through a grant that we did. Certainly that serves a wide swath of the community, not necessarily those experiencing direct economic hardship, but it certainly helps the youth of the community, helps families to be able to go out and do activities together. And I would say families are certainly a vulnerable population here in the city of Wasilla and actually throughout the nation. Without supporting families, the basic building block of our society, I don't think that we're doing the right thing. While I do think we do need to concentrate on vulnerable populations, I don't think we need to really define what those vulnerable populations are in this ordinance here. So I have concerns about that. The other thing that I would like to talk about in 2 weeks is limits on the size of grants to any one organization for, during this disbursement of whatever amount of funds that we decide there. And I'd also like to see some discussion about how the committee is made up. Since the funds are essentially allocated through the grant committee, which is authorized by the city council, what I don't want to see is I don't want to see a committee made up of administration, much like we had when we were dispersing COVID funds, where the city council really had no say in how that was put together, even though the city council was the one responsible for dispersing the funds. So while I certainly support the administration and believe in the administration and their capabilities, I do think the city council should have some representation on that committee to help balance it out a little bit differently, as opposed to just being a committee made up of administration and administration only. So those are my concerns, and I hope we can speak to those in 2 weeks when this comes up. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Johnson?
back when we established the committee to write the policy, it was my understanding that the Grant Policy Committee would be a short-term subcommittee of the city council with the express purpose of writing the policy. And the way that I'm reading page 1 is the Grant Policy Committee now becomes a full standing committee in perpetuity, and it's not really clear as to who is on the committee, whether it is the council, a subcommittee of the council, or who. I mean, if you go on to line 18, it says, whereas the city council created the Grants Policy Committee, claims the committee, proposed for a non-recurring community grant program, and then it always refers back to the grant committee after that. But it was my understanding we were just to write a policy. So if we could get that clarified as to who the CGP is, how this committee is established, its extent of authority, and when it expires, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
Through the chair to the body, correct me if I'm wrong, the policy that we were directed to bring back is attached, and so that's what it is. The community grant program is the policy, and it identifies the entire process for the disbursement of these funds, which ultimately, on page 2 of 3, which is Exhibit A, upon receipt of the committee's recommendations, the council will make the final determination regarding the distribution, if any, of grant funds.
Is there further discussion? Mr. Brown?
Madam Mayor, maybe Lika, when we come back, but I believe to the 501c organization, C4 and some other ones would allow them to disperse funds that would include our exclusion provisions. So that's why some of the other C organizations would not be in line for these funds, but maybe Lika could clarify that. But my understanding, C4 and some other ones can do some of the things we saying you can't do in our exclusions.
Some can, you're correct. Not all.
Ms. Wells, would you like to weigh in on that, please?
Only to echo what Councilmember Brown said, 501c3 organizations are charitable organizations, and while there are many, all of the 501c tax exempt organizations might be worth considering for a grant program. Generally, we see grant programs limited to 501c3 tax exempt organizations simply because of that charitable component, and not having to address things like political activities that are permitted in other forms of 501c organizations, and other types of contributions that that a lot of these foundations might have that would otherwise qualify as 501c. But we can be prepared to walk City Council through that at the next meeting, so you can see what organizations this criteria includes and what are excluded. That would be helpful to the body.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I could follow up, the policy that we passed is clear on what cannot be done. So therefore, any organization that was applying for a grant to do some of those things that we cannot do, obviously the committee would vet that and set that recommendation aside, or set that application aside. But there are a lot of 501c organizations that would be doing things, for instance, veteran service organizations that would be doing things where their charter may allow them to do some of those things that are not on the list. If they're not applying to do stuff that's on our prohibited list, then I certainly don't think we should automatically exclude them just because of their tax status. Thank you.
Is there further discussion?
One last question, Madam Mayor. Councilman Brown, I may have missed it. The open period for applying for the application, was there a time period?
Through the chair to Councilmember Brown, to be determined by the committee once it's adopted.
Okay, thank you.
Is there further discussion? Hearing none, are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
What you're voting on is the introduction of ordinance serial number 2228 with the recommended public hearing date of September 26, 2022. So Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
I'm still opposed.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Velock.
Yes.
Councilmember Rubeo.
Yes.
The motion to introduce ordinance serial number 2228 set for public hearing on September 26, 2022 passes with Councilmember Sullivan Leonard, Graham, Brown, Velock, and Rubio in support. Councilmember Johnson opposed.
And Madam Clerk, the next item under new business.
Thank you. That's AM number 2234, contract amendment to Big Dipper Construction in the amount of $73,489 for repair and paving of the intersection at Spruce Avenue and Lucille Street, the museum parking lot and adjoining alley, and beneath the overpass at Seward Meridian Parkway.
Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve AM number 2234.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second that.
The motion's been made by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Velock for AM 2234. Is there discussion? Mr. Graham?
Madam Mayor, I just have a question, perhaps Public Works can address this. You know, a part of what we're doing is spending a relatively small amount of money, about $12,000, to overlay patches, pre-level and overlay patches under the Seward Meridian overpass. Now, that's not our road, is it? Isn't that the borough's road? I mean, the state's road is the overpass itself and the approaches to the overpass, I think. But isn't Seward Meridian, isn't that the borough's property? And I have no objection to fixing it, but I mean, do we have some sort of agreement with the borough where we say, hey, we're doing 12 grand worth of work for you, maybe we can trade that out later on down the road?
Yeah, through the Madam Mayor, to the Chair. It's an interesting split that the borough has there from the bridge north to PW Highway is the borough's. The bridge south is ours.
What is the bridge? Is the bridge the middle of the bridge? Is it the middle of the bridge? Is it the south end of the bridge, the north end of the bridge?
The entire bridge is the way the agreement is written. So we maintain that section, even though it is a DOT right of way.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Walden. I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there further discussion? Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is passed. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We are now at communications. We have one item under communications this evening. That's the Wasilla Landscape Standards Review Committee meeting minutes of August 8th, 2022.
We are now on to audience comments. It's 3 minutes per person. It's a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Is there anyone present who would like to address the city council? Seeing no one, we are now at Mayor, Clerk, Attorney, and Council comments. Please keep your closing remarks limited to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just as a reminder again, I know I keep saying this, but the city does have 2 new polling locations for our October 4th election. First is new precinct number 27420, that's Wasilla number 1. You'll vote here at City Hall Council Chambers, and if you're registered to vote at 27425 Wasilla 2, that's out at the Menard Center. In-person early voting for Wasilla's upcoming election starts Monday the 19th through October 3rd here at City Hall, and then election day, of course, is Tuesday, October 4th. The review board did meet September 1st here at City Hall. They tested the ballot tabulators that are going to be used in the election. 32 pre-marked ballots were run through the ICP units, those pre-marked ballots were also hand tallied to make sure that the tabulator was tabulating correctly. The pre-marked ballots are the exact same ballots we use in the election. They're just pre-marked, and so testing was flawless. Everything went really well. The board certified that the units were testing accurately, and then they re-zeroed the results so that election morning we don't start with 32 votes for somebody. So that's all I have, other than we'll see you here next regular meeting, September 26th.
Madam Attorney,
Madam Mayor, may I ask questions of the clerk?
when it comes your time to speak. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I only have one comment. Next regular council meeting, I am going to do a mini training. I will keep it brief. It will be on executive sessions, what some of the more difficult and nuanced components of entering into them, and liability for breaching confidentiality, ways in which that may happen that aren't anticipated, and just really helping council understand that process. So if you have questions about that process before that you want to make sure I address, if you could please just email the clerk and she will make sure I incorporate those.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, I appreciate that. So, coming back to the clerk's report, so two questions regarding the election. Number one, you talked about how the ballot tabulators, were tested and everything worked out just fine. In the event of a recount, is the recount done by hand then, or is it done strictly by running through the machine again? How does a recount work?
Thank you, Councilmember Graham. So right now, under our current code, that authority to choose the recount method is left up to the clerk. So for me, it would be at my discretion what tabulating method we used, whether that be a hand count or the machines again.
Okay. And yes, ma'am, it does. Thank you. And the second question I have is that I recently received a postcard in the mail. I won't say encouraging me, but informing me of the procedure for voting absentee. I'm assuming it used to be we just sent those to seniors, and I know I'm a senior, so so I should be getting one. But my question is, did we send those to all residents or just to a certain portion of the residents, or how did that?
I don't know what you're referring to. So the city, my office, through the city funds paid for the election postcard, is what I call it. Is that what you're referring to?
Right, the election postcard that told me how to request an absentee ballot. I know several years ago we passed something, but it wasn't an ordinance that said we're only going to send that to seniors, but I was just curious what we're doing this year.
The intent of that postcard isn't to promote one type of voting method. It was for all of them. So on the postcard, you could either vote at your polling location on election day. Those were noticed. We talked about if you wanted to vote by mail, deadlines applied. And then we had early voting location and times. So if it's the postcard I sent, it certainly wasn't to promote any one method of voting, and that postcard went to every household in which a registered voter resides.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, got that out of the way. Thank you very much. So for comments, I had a couple of things. I know Scott's here. Zamboni with 212,000 miles on it. Good job, buddy. Man, how do you put 200,000 miles on a Zamboni? That ice rink's not that big, but I'm certainly hoping that the new Zamboni will serve us equally well. It's interesting to see that we're adopting a new technology with electronic, carbon neutral, whatever the heck it's called nowadays, technology out there. It's exciting to see that, and I certainly hope that Zamboni will last us a long time. I remember when we bought the last Zamboni, it was well used and people were concerned about it, but we certainly got more than our money's worth out of it, and I certainly hope we'll do the same with this one. So I'm glad to see that. Also, man, it's great when you have audience participation to have everybody come up and say something. Man, what a great day. Everybody except Jackie. I don't know what happened here, but but it's great to have people here, and even better to have people participate. So that's great. And I also wanted to say, how important it is that we did approve the SEDS, the Comprehensive Economic development strategy money to get that contract out there and make that happen. That's an important step in our economic development, our long-term economic development. I know a lot of times we focus on little things like, $12,000 in paving or whatever it is like that, which has kind of an immediate and a long-term impact, but the SEDS is really a long-term impact sort of thing. So congratulations to Ms. Nygaard, our Deputy Administrator, for honchoing that project and getting that through, and looking forward to see how that works. Speaking of our Deputy Administrator, who I think is also in charge of IT, kind of, sort of, maybe, I keep getting these emails from No Before. And I'm guessing it's something that's sent from the city to help to try and get me to open some sort of phishing email. But if I didn't open the first one, I really don't need to get the next 6 of them. But how do I put somebody on a list where I'm not going to get emails from anymore from the city? Is there a way to do that? And if there is, if you could let us all know, that would be great, so we don't see the same things trying to protect us come through all the time. But I do appreciate the fact that the city is sending out fake emails to see which of us, which includes me, open up some of those. So you would think I would know better. Jackie's over here laughing, but we go from there. And also wanted to thank the folks from the library for having the foresight to put together the story walk. That's if you didn't get a chance to go to the ribbon cutting, or if you haven't had a chance to go through the story walk, basically what it is a series of outdoor boards where a book, typically a family, young child-oriented book, not a baby book, but a young child-oriented book, is broken up into pages, and the pages are distributed around several different boards around the library. So you take kind of a walk around the library grounds and you read the book. Whether you're just doing it on your lunch hour, just to take a break, or whether you're doing it with your family, it's a great thing. Number one, to keep people reading and to provide a family-oriented activity, and to get outside and get some fresh air, even if it is filled up a little bit with rain. So that's all I have for today, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
No comments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Sullivan Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to echo the comments from Councilmember Graham with regard to the SEDS funds, the Community Economic Development Group. Yeah, very well done. Thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate that. And the money, I know, will be well spent. McKinley is a reputable group here in the state of Alaska and has done exceptional work, so real happy with that. Thank you. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate Marlene Munzel, our new WASI Executive Director. Thank you for taking on that role and for all the work that you do and others. And you, thank you for coming on board too. With the minority DOT will be talking about, and also I believe our City of Wasilla folks will be there as well. Is that correct? Just to talk about our road projects. And so some of the projects we have on the docket are, of course, Kaniku's Bay Road reconstruction. We've got introduction of the Parks Highway Alternative Corridor Study, Wasilla Main Street rehabilitation, and then Hemmer Road extension south. Is that correct? Hemmer Road? Is that part of it? Okay, that's what I thought. Anyway, real good fair if you've attended in the past. They're very well attended, and DOT and Matsuboro and City of Wasilla are very well versed with our projects that are happening in the Matsu, so I encourage people to attend if they can. And that's it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Velock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming and congratulations to our new WASI people. And that's about it. No comments besides that.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for all of our public participation. I really think it's good to see people out there and speaking and showing us what they're actually thinking of. Madam Mayor, I do have one concern. We're now into September, and we've had a large number of road construction or repaving contracts that were let by Big Dipper, I believe, for paving, and I'm not seeing a whole lot of action on them, and I'm worried about the end of the construction season creeping up on us. So that is a concern that I have, so I just want to post that concern in an open forum.
Well, they can't pave when it's raining. Go.
July, August, and September.
The entire summer.
Councilmember Rubeo.
Yes, I have done the story walk and it's pretty awesome with my own kids, so thank you for doing that. Also, congratulations to everybody at WASI there. Awesome climbing the ladder and taking on a new project for yourself too for a job. Other than that, that's it.
Thank you. One thing about the story walk that I found out, the story that they had in it was a local author. And her mama, not most of us, but a lot of us know it's Anna Mueller's daughter. And it was her story. I had no idea she was an author, so that was great. And Lieutenant Rader, could you kind of, or Bob One, kind of expand on what the requirements to ride a four-wheeler in the city, what the requirements are?
So you're required to be 16 years of age, have insurance, there's equipment requirements like having a headlight, there's speed requirements like 10 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour in parking lots, not to be riding on the roadway or the sidewalk, bike paths. There's quite a few stringent rules for that.
And one thing that we are down, Lieutenant, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are down 5 officers right now.
Yes, ma'am.
So we can't be everywhere all the time. And, we try to take care of what we can when we can. And your concern has not gone unnoticed. So you're just going to have to bear with us until we can, because there is laws in place. But if you're not there at that minute, you're not going to get them. So that's where we're at with that. And Marlene, congratulations on CEO. You've always been a very valuable addition to WASI, because I know what you do. And if the rest of you don't, you need to go see. This is the most workingest woman I've ever been around, so I try not to stay too long over there. She puts you to work. And Michelle, on Tuesday mornings, at 9 a.m., we have coffee with the mayor over at MyHouse. And nothing is off limits, what we talk about. But like in Vegas, what said at my house stays at my house. And don't let anybody kid you, you're not coming to my personal house. Trust me. So anyway, Michelle, I'm so proud of the work that all of you do over there. And it's such a big addition to the community, because some of these kids would absolutely fall through. And with this fentanyl coming out looking like candy, that is a huge concern for everybody, But again, thank you for what you do. So with that, it is 6:53, and with nothing else to come before this council, we are adjourned.